What's up guys, Illwrath here. This is going to be the first episode of the Crucible Academy. This footage comes by way of my clanmate MisterOwll, and he's playing with another clanmate Grizz. This is a close legend comp match that he sent me. I didn't have enough footage myself, but he was willing to give a lot of footage that he had from previous games of the past week. So if I can't get any footage myself, or if I don't get any footage from the outside, we've got a lot to work with here. We're gonna go ahead and start off. I've got the match here. I also have the map to help out in terms of drawing where stuff is, so when plays happen I can just kind of give you a better view of this guy came from here, if you weren't looking here, if you weren't looking here, like that sort of thing. We're just gonna go ahead and jump right into the match. We have 300s and a Warlock.
Every death counts.
So far so good. We got 3 people grouped up. We got 1 lone wolf on the right. Not much you can do about that. Just try and call your teammates together. Okay, we got 1 guy here. He's standing in his rift, which is good. He can team shot with him.
3 lives
Alright, here's where the first problem comes. This guy, while both MisterOwll and Grizz were looking at the guy in the middle, let's go and just pull up the map here. So, they were looking at a guy that was positioned right here. Both MisterOwll was looking here, Grizz was standing right here, both trying to team shot. So they didn't see a guy coming from around the outside, which then ended up getting both of them. What happened was that they were down their sights for too long. So if instead they had team shot here a little bit better, because MisterOwll, call him by his name, Nick and Grizz were not working together in terms of team shotting. He was setting in his rift. He had enough health regen to just team shot the guy here, but instead they didn't team shot him fast enough, and that caused the guy to just flank around and just get both of them. So staying down your sights a little bit too long. If you weren't in the lane and you're not firing at him, there's no reason to be looking down sights. All you have to do is when you are not in the field of play, what he should have done about here, when he was standing behind the rock here after he took cover, should have aimed down sights, let his radar be shown so he could see the guy coming around on this side. Now, that was a lot of time off of one play, but it's just little things like that can just turn some encounters for you just right on its head. We'll just keep going. So there's the first shotgun kill, there's a second, they're down 3 lives. Alright, so there's 1 pick. Also kind of traded out. Alright, another trade, they're down 3 lives still. They left heavy. Grenade tried to cover. They should have pushed together here a bit more. Nice pick.
You're out of lives.
Another good pick.
Fight on just the same.
He needs to be a little bit more aware of his radar, because if his teammate did not save him here, it would have been 2 lives down because he wasn't paying attention to his radar. He was a little bit too focused on pushing up that he didn't see the guy in cubby. He's lucky that Grizz had his back. If not, Grizz would have been down and Nick would have been down again. Nick would have been knocked out. Okay, good. Trying to peek the lane. Bad call on Grizz. Should have just backed up and waited for them to push. And I think the better... That's kind of tough call to say. So, they've got 1 man down. They've got heavy there. Their best bet was to regroup and just use heavy as bait. What should have happened was he should have called for his teammates to cover him a little bit more, so that he could put suppressing fire on these 2 here. That way he could have grabbed heavy a lot more safer, backed up, and waited for the opportunity to just jump in and use heavy. That was the one issue that Grizz had. He didn't have any cover when he jumped in for heavy, so he just got teamed down. see. So I know this is going to be less about his gameplay, but this is also learning experience from everybody else. So far, alright, they're back together. Good, they're grouped up.
30 seconds. Both teams out.
Alright, they're down 2 to 3. They need to fight for heavy. But they just ended up getting pinched.
Your enemies have bested you. This time.
Their main mistake there was just going back and putting themselves in a corner. They needed to push on heavy, find someone to pick off, and just go for that. Because a 2v1's a lot easier to win than a 2v3. So we're on to the next round. Alright, good cover. They learned from their mistake. Alright, nice cover. That's a good pick.
5 lives left.
Alright, that's a good job. He had low health, you know you can map him.
3 lives left.
It's kind of you need to have a faster reaction to notice that as soon as your radar came up that these people were there. I'll give him that. I'll give him benefit of the doubt. Also, he didn't have any ammo. There's nothing you could do there. So it's just a matter of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
3 lives left.
Alright, so we've got Grizz on heavy, which is good, but he's backing up a little bit too much. He needs to have his teammates jump in. We're playing a little bit too passive. They need to grab heavy because, well, they just let the enemy grab heavy.
You're out of lives.
One issue here, so you have your teammates right over here. But you're far off. Sure, you've got this guy right here. You got this guy right here. However, you notice that you should be noticing that your teammates are dying. You should either look to help and push up with them, or see that it's a losing fight and just back up before you get teamed. In this case, you get killed by heavy. But again, it's the same thing. He's going real hard for this one pick.
You're out of lives.
He keeps going down his sights. And by the time he sees the person on the radar with the heavy, it's too late. He gets the pick, but it's too late. He needs to stop being down sights so much. If there's nobody in front of him, here's what you do. So a lot of people don't do this. I still need to learn to do this myself. So here. Credit to Cool Guy on YouTube for this. I would have never thought of this, even though it's such a simple thing. Okay. If you're not willing to engage and you want to have more information on your radar while also being ready to aim, use your crosshairs. Use the hipfire crosshairs. Well, just use it as if it's your sights. Best bet would have your sights, have them set around right here, around head level, so that not only on your radar will you see him here, you'll also see the guy with heavy coming up this way, and it'll give you more time to react. You'll see him jump over right here, you'll see he has heavy, and then you just back out. That way it would have saved him a life, and he wouldn't have been knocked out. In terms of the individual play, he needs to be looking down his sights less if he's not engaging, and he just needs to be using his crosshair a lot more. In terms of the team fight, he should have seen it was a lost cause, try to see where his teammates were spawning, and just backed up and try to regroup.
You're out of lives. Fight on just the same.
Like I said, before it's too late, he does get the pick, but he's out. So now it's a 3v5. One problem I'm seeing right now is not a lot of inefficient team fights. However, credit to Valkyrie for playing sneaky with that shotgun. Now I believe it is a 2v3, but they just popped Spectral. And so now it is a 1v3 versus a super. I don't know if it was an agreement between the group or it's just people have gotten past jumping off for the most part. If both sides were fine with jumping off, I hate jumping off, but say both teams were fine with jumping off the map, the better thing to do would have been to jump off seeing that they had a super and you're down 1v3. Other than that, nothing you could do. You're down 3 men and you've got a super on you. So it's kind of unfortunate, but that's another loss. They're not doing bad. I mean, positive. Grizz just gets the short end of the stick in terms of being the first one to die in a team fight. Or he tries to go for a fight and nobody really backs him up too much. That's the only one issue, is just the team fights seem to be better. Because I see a lot of times he's trying to do a fight, but his teammates are backing up and not helping out. Valkalor is doing well. He's doing well. But in terms of the team aspect, just be a little bit more communication. Like, oh, I'm going to be baiting out with the shotgun. So just put suppressing fire, that sort of thing.
The enemy leads. Catch up and crush
So they're
them.
down 0-2, and they've got a storm. Their best bet is to stay somewhat grouped up and try and team it. See what they do. There it is
5
again.
lives left.
There's no reason for him to be aiming down sights here. Yes, he's damaged, and there is the super. However, there's no sight of the super yet. Again, you need to be using your crosshairs. So you should have had your crosshair about right here. That's a horrible crosshair, but you kind of get what I'm putting out here. It should have been not in your sights. Should have had your crosshair about right here. That way, if the super did come in, all you had to do was aim down sights. However, your biggest issue was not the super at that point. It was the team of 3 coming up right here. So let's say the super was mid, about right here. So you're already looking down this lane because you've got your teammate over here weak. However, he's not weak essentially from the super, he's hit by the grenade right here. Now, what was smart from the enemy team is that they used the super as bait. They got him, Nick, to aim down sights, looking for that super. There was a good nade as well to weaken him, so he's even more focused on this section of the map. But while this super is moving in, they're all hyper focused. You've got the 3 here pushing in, and that gets the pick on Nick, and he's out. Again, main issue is looking down sights too much. Comms would make this a lot easier in terms of callouts. Can't ask for everything, but in terms of you just need to be aiming down sights less so that you have more access to your radar. Yep, so there's the pick. A good move on Grizz to try and get out of there. But yep, they just team him. Super goes in, cleans up. Good plays by Jordan there. Fortunately, Grizz again gets the short end of the stick. Now they're down 2-4. They've got another Spectral Blade, so they've got to look out for that. Ooh, just missed the shot. Okay, his teammates are coming in, that's good. They've got control of heavy.
Enemy team is out of lives.
Yo, just control the middle area. Nice. So they got heavy, that was good. They held down the middle, and they kind of used heavy as bait. Sure, they were down, but if you just hold that middle area, you're good. Okay. Alright. Just gonna pause it right here. So, they've got a super right now. They have 4. They are down. It would be wise to use one of their supers. I would suggest, if that's a Spectral Blades, I would suggest one of these Storm Trance here. So either use this one or this one. So Nick could have used his super if he wanted to. I would do Smash, but Smash sometimes has the incapability of going against the Spectral Blades just because of the spam of the heavy attacks. Heavy attacks on Spectral Blade are just crazy good. For example's sake, let's just say there's no supers. Let's just say they are down supers. He has 1 Orcliffe coil shot. The smart thing to do would be to hold onto that coil shot for either a good team wipe, or more importantly, to shut down the super. Knowing how the team is, they probably wouldn't pop their super, but let's just see what happens. So either 1, pop one of the supers, or save heavy for that other super. They're just playing real passive. It's okay. If they're going to play passive like this, let them. They're down lives. You've got 30 seconds. Let them play time. Okay, they're starting to push up a bit.
30 seconds. Slay your enemy and they stay dead.
Again, aiming down sights too much. Good team shots there.
Double
Another
down.
very good team
One
shot.
enemy left. No lives left for anyone.
And they've got the...
Rest when you're
Nice.
dead. Opposing team
So that was good.
annihilated.
Team shots were coming together well. And I don't know if they had seen that the super was out.
Your opponents
But if
have
they
a
did,
lead.
yeah, it's fair game to use
Destroy
that heavy if the Spectral Blade was out. So you got 4 supers. Game plan. Same as in the middle of that round. Pop one of the supers. So far, playing the match a little bit... Okay. Alright, and then here is where the first real big issue comes. Okay, off the bat, they didn't pop the super. One of the Warlocks should have popped right off the bat. They should have popped off the bat. Best course of action, instead of going down mid and getting a team shot, the best bet would have been to go from the outside. So, from spawn, just go out the outside, pop your super, and that way you have control over heavy. Now, the Spectral Blade did pop up about, I'm gonna say it popped in about this area right here. That's okay, as long as he can either kill the whole team that's trying to back up the Spectral Blade, or the Spectral Blade itself. That is a win, because that's a 1-1. That's a 1-1 for a super. So you would have been out of a super. They would have been down a man, and then you have just full control over heavy. Here's where the issue comes in. Nick waited too long to pop. What happened was, seeing that they had a good amount of advantage, the Spectral popped about right here. Now, this is where the communication problem comes in. As you see from the footage, so here's where the problem comes in. So you see the Spectral Blade being popped. He pops Storm Trance, but what also happens is Grizz pops Thunder Crash. Now, this is a spur of the moment thing. Because you know Thunder Crash can easily shut down the Spectral Blade, Grizz just pops. However, again, the main issue stems from one major problem. If they had just popped initially, about right here, it would have forced the Spectral Blade to pop as well, and you wouldn't have ended up using 2 supers. You wouldn't have ended up having Grizz use a Thunder Crash to counter him. And you wouldn't have had another super use, and you're down basically 1 super. Unless, this could all change, unless Nick goes in and cleans up shop, you end up having around 3 orbs, not to mention if Grizz shuts down the Spectral Blade, you have a 4th. That's 4 orbs for his teammates to pick up, and you can easily just swing that back. But again, avoid using 2 supers at once at all cost. Again, the biggest issue was not popping off the bat. Let's just see how this goes out. Alright. Alright, so this seems to be a wasted super.
Nice.
So that was a wasted super. No kills. And I didn't even notice, that is the 3rd super popped in 1 round. So you've essentially used 3 supers to try and trade out with 1. And so far, they've only used 2 supers the whole game. Whereas now, it's 3-2. Spectral Blade, they're gonna have another Spectral Blade before any of these guys end up getting another super back, and you're gonna be down. So far the long game is not looking good. Unless they can close out the match real fast, this is the round that's going to cause a lot of issues, and it's going to snowball into a loss, from what I can gather. And I noticed also that the Thunder Crash did not take out the Spectral Blade, so that's another wasted super. That's 2 wasted supers. So you got 1 guy on your left.
5 lives.
Okay, so from what I can gather from the map, Nick has power right here. He's got his teammates right here. Wherever the 4th teammate is, I can't tell. You got the enemies kind of spread out. You got the guy with Arantel over here. I'm gonna say the other enemies are right here. One issue comes in is when Valkyr tries to push in. That creates an issue because he's pushing in by himself, which allows him to get teamed and knocked out. What should have happened was, instead of pushing in by himself, again, can't tell what the comms were, but he should have called out that he was going to move up to try and fight. This guy should have moved up with him, and best bet would have been for Nick to go in and just move about right here. Wait for this guy to just miss his Arantil, so just miss it, and then you just jump on him with coil, and he is out. That way you would have 1 down, and you could possibly have 1 to 2. So, main thing that I would say, Nick needs to be a little bit more aggressive in certain places. He needed to be more aggressive with popping the super off the bat. That would have saved a lot of wasted supers this round. Anyone, didn't even have to be him. It could have been Valkyr or popping. Someone needed to pop their super to just start off the match strong. There needed to be more communication in terms of the super usage, because you had 3 supers popped versus 1 on the enemy side. Very bad, very bad. Unless you can make a lot of orbs, that's a very hard loss to have to cope with. And team shots. Communication and team shots seem to be the big issue, just overarching issue. For that, and let's get back to it. Like here, should have just pushed on him with the heavy. Because you've only got 1 super on the other side, you can just save it for that super. He gets 1, that's good.
3 lives left.
Lucky he got that 2nd kill.
Enemy team
They also
is
picked
out
up
of
heavy,
lives.
which is not good.
Topple them. 1 minute left. The enemy is out of second
From what I can gather, it is a 6v3 right now. The one thing that I can see happening, which I don't know if it happens, the last thing I want to see is the Spectral Blades from this team pop, and then the Arcstrider popping, because then now you're down 4v3 in terms of supers. And they're going to have 1 up before you get 1 back. So later on, it's going to be, in terms of having supers, it's going to end up being a 1 or 0 to 1. And it's going to be a big, fat L for a round. It's a shame that nade didn't tag, don't know why it didn't. Let's see how this plays out. We got a dodge. Best bet is go back to teammates. I would not stay in the cubby. Still got middle control, which is good. Again.
30 seconds.
Little things. Stop looking down your sights. If you don't need to, use this. That way you have your full-on radar available to you, and you can see anybody pushing you.
Slay your enemy, and they stay dead.
Okay, good pick. Remains. You don't have a radar?
Neither team has lives left. Show no mercy.
Okay, kind of a...
All opponents defeated.
It's kind of a messy round. We'll see what happens from there. They close it out.
Match tied. There can be only 1 winner.
So we got Archstaff versus the other Spectral Blade. I'm kind of That's a good team shot right there. That was a bad pop by the enemy team, so they're down 1 super already, so that's 1 wasted. So far looking good. And there's Ladsky again with his Spectral Blade. Okay, so we got the Arc Staff popped, which means it's good because that Spectral Blade went out, and they have another one, which means you could battle them. However, what ends up happening, because that Spectral Blade pops kind of in the middle of the super,
5 lives.
that was some BS right there. I don't know how he died from that 1 heavy attack, but either way, he was gonna be out.
Left.
And then there is the main issue I just saw again. They're going out of a team fight. So what ended up happening here, I'll go back to the footage real quick. So what ended up happening about right here, you ended up having the Arc Blade go into conflict here with the Spectral, and he gets stunned. The best case scenario would have been for, while he's here stunned, Grizz and Valkalor. I know the stun window's not that big, but what they should have done is they should have moved in. They should have moved in here. Shotgun's ready, and just deleted him. The only downside was that the staff ended up running out, so they didn't have another chance to try and stun him. Alright, so they got heavy because of that. They're up lives, but they have the heavy.
3 lives
Now they're even.
left.
It was a good trade, so now it's 3-2. They got heavy. They need to stay just a good enough distance away from each other where they can still team shot, but also not die to heavy all at once. So far, that's 1 heavy shot down. It's a good bait.
You're ahead on lives. Enemy team has no reserves left. Finish them.
Alright, that's a trade. Okay, so they're grouping up. Okay, there's a mistake right there. Okay, so you've got the enemy down about right... You've got him down right here. He's in his little rift here. However, Nick's standing about right here. He's got his other teammate right here. And then you have another teammate about to spawn right here. Because they were too passive in terms of pushing on this guy right here, he was able to get out scot-free despite being down in this team fight. If even Nick and this guy pushed up and say knocked one of them out, that would have been a 1-to-1 trade and would have been an easy knockout for them. Not to mention, if something went wrong, you had this teammate ready to just cover. Would have been a more optimal. So again, I'm just going to draw this out. Again, let's just say he stays here in his rift. So you have Nick standing right here. You've got Valkolor coming in here. And you have teammate spawning up right here. Best plan of attack. You have him push this way real fast to block off this lane. You have Nick push up on this guy, and you have their teammate push up, so that way, only way he has to go, he can't go this way because he's just gonna get killed. He can only try and go this way, but you also have them pushing up, and then you have him to counter. So, better plays overall need to be made. If you see that you're in a man advantage in a gunfight, go for it. Go for it. That could have been a very easy pick, but the guy ends up just getting away scot-free. You got a pick there. That super should not have been used. Should have saved that super. They were up. It was a 5-3. there was no need for that super. That would have been better to used on another super in a later round.
Neither team has lives left. Show no mercy. 30 seconds. Both teams out of reserves.
Again, you're popping way too many supers in a round that you have full control of. It's a 4v2, and you've already popped 2 more supers than you needed to. In terms of super count, this is now 2 used. 1, 2, 1. And they had 1, 2, 1, 1. You're up 1 too many super uses, and you're going to be going in a round where you're going to need to win in order to finish this game out. Sure, you have the super, but again, right now you are in a 4v2. You don't need to pop this. Save it for the next round. Let's see if all these mistakes end up in a loss, but telling by the time, it looks like they're gonna win. But again, I will still stick by all the plays I made. You may have won, but all these mistakes would have accumulated to a loss against a much better team. I'm gonna skip ahead.
Match point. Finish them.
Oh no. Okay, I see how they won this. Okay. Okay, never mind. He came by. He came back, but that's a lot of super. So what happened was, while Nick's getting electrocuted over here by Tickle Fingers, they just got a free advantage because the game was in a buggy state during the time. This guy didn't spawn in until 20 seconds into the match. That's 20 seconds of super regen not given. And that guy could have been the next guy to get another Spectral Blade. And they just got lucky. Got the super.
5 lives left.
Nick got so lucky that...
What can stop you if you fight together?
Okay. That was a lucky play turned into a smart play. Just go and put up the map again. So, you got yourself holed up right here. So you have no radar. You got lucky that the Storm Trance went over you and didn't kill you. You got lucky there. They didn't pay attention to their radar because you were crouched, but the smart thing was that you were crouched. You didn't show up on their radar. You were able to get... They moved in, and since they couldn't see you, you got 2 easy picks. That was a good play, but you got real lucky with that Storm Trance. Nevertheless, good play. Kind of unintentional because you didn't have a radar. You were trying to stay safe, but it ended up working in your favor, so I give you that.
Nothing.
Alright, so this is the final round. You do have heavy. It's a good pop. It's a good pop. So you've got
Enemy team has no reserves
super
left.
popped.
Finish them.
1-1 in the round. And you still have heavy, so this was a good play overall.
1 minute left. The enemy is out of second chances. 1 foe remains.
Yeah. At the end of it, he's got real lucky with these
3
plays.
lives left. All enemies down. All lives expended.
Alright.
Social victory.
That's a very close match. Started down 0-2. That was good.
It's in them.
Let's just see how the stats. Definitely outslayed them. So, overall, very close match. These guys were giving you a run for your money. If it wasn't for the fact that they made a few hiccups in their gameplay, this would have been a very Very close match. 4-3 for either side. So, main issues. Less ADS, because your radar ends up getting you killed in terms of you not having it. You need to do less ADS so you can have more radar. Comms need to be a little bit better. I can even spell right. You need to watch the super usage. Like I said, you popped way too many supers for the amount of supers that they had popped. If this team was any better, you would have gotten your stuff kicked in because you wasted a lot of supers on not real useful scenarios. That Thunder Crash. You won the game, however, the super usage was way too much, and it would have ended up in a loss against a better team. This kind of goes hand in hand with the comms and improvement. You need to coordinate better team shots. You need to have more team fights, but you need to make sure that you communicate, hey, there's this guy here, let's move up on him and take him out. That one guy that got free from you that previous round, that would have been a super easy kill. Made the round go by much faster. You just need to coordinate better team shots and just coordinate better plays. If you notice that you're up and there's a guy, tell your teammates, there's a guy here, we're up, he's by himself, push him. He doesn't have a super, he didn't have a super at the time, so you need to push and just, if you see an opportunity, take it in terms of team fights. Overall, real shaky match, a lot of hiccups. You won, great, but against better team, you would have gotten a real run for your money. Nevertheless, it's going to be the end of episode 1 of Crucible Academy. Thank you guys for watching. This is a long video, I understand that. But I just hope that anybody can learn from all the stuff that I've said here. And in that, everybody gets to improve their gameplay. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. If I made any bad calls or was any call that I missed, leave it in the comments. And then any suggestions that you have for me, leave them in the comments as well. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of Crucible Academy. See ya.